Hello and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today's episode is dedicated to a story that blends art, friendship, and a quietly spectacular birthday surprise. It centers on two celebrated figures from Turkish television, Gürel and Murat. Yıldırım. One is known for bringing heartfelt nuance to every character she inhabits. The other for combining charisma with a craftsman's discipline on screen. Yet what truly captured everyone's imagination this week was not a new series or a red carpet moment, but a single canvas of painting Murat secretly obtained and presented to Gizci on her birthday. One setting the stage, two careers, one crossroads. Gizci Gürel has long been praised for balancing warmth and strength in her performances. From her early days in supporting roles to the leading parts that made her a household name, she has consistently shown range. Vulnerability in romantic comedies, grit in thrillers, conviction in period dramas. Profiles frequently note her instinctive approach to character building, a quality that has grown stronger with each passing year. Interviews reveal that she keeps a small notebook of visual references for every role, sketches that help her embody posture, gesture, gaze. Friends say art has been her quiet companion well before fame found her, a thread that calms and grounds her between intensive shoots. Murat Yıldırım, meanwhile, carved out a reputation for controlled intensity. Early critics predicted he would last only as long as the next popular saga. Yet 2 decades later, his resume reads like a condensed history of contemporary Turkish drama. He oscillates effortlessly between mainstream hits and riskier festival projects. Recently stepping into an international feature codenamed Two Trees, due to film later this year. News.sbisiali.com. Even as his profile grows, Murat shies away from the whirl of promotional excess. Colleagues speak of him as someone who does his work, says thank you, and goes home. What connects them is a friendship that began almost 10 years ago during a charity table read for earthquake relief. They discovered a mutual obsession with modern Turkish painters' names, like Naz Erdak, Ahmet Gunestek and Nilüfer, Yıldırım artists whose canvases lean into bold textures and restless layered symbolism. From that day, art became a quiet language between them. Whenever shooting schedules allowed, it would steal an hour to wander a gallery or attend a small exhibition opening, disappearing into crowds like two art school students rather than seasoned celebrities. The birthday plan takes shape. Fast forward to late winter. Gizci was heading into a milestone birthday, the first she would be spending entirely on a set since her breakout year. Murat learned that rehearsals and promotional commitments had pushed her usual celebration plans aside. He resolved to create something that would serve as both present and pause button, a moment to breathe. Surrounded by the things she loved most. Long before the date, he started tracing the work of a reclusive Anatolian painter whose vibrant, dreamlike pieces Gizci once mentioned in passing during a midnight coffee break. The artist rarely releases originals. Most sit in private collections or vaults. Murat enlisted a curator friend, spent evenings cataloging small gallery inventories. Followed rumor after rumor of where a single canvas might surface next. Just 2 weeks before the birthday, he located an untitled piece in Izmir, a composite of muted earth tones and luminous sapphire washes at first glance abstract, but actually built from dozens of tiny narrative fragments. Negotiations were delicate. Provenance had to be verified. Murat asked the gallery owner for one favor: keep his name out of transfer documents until after delivery. He wanted the reveal to be pure, immediate, impossible to spoil. 3. Unwrapping the canvas. On the afternoon of GJ's birthday, filming paused for a scheduled lighting resetter 30-minute break. Murat appeared holding a flat parcel wrapped in heavy craft paper, corners carefully secured with linen tape. Crew members, wary of wasting precious daylight, watched from a polite distance as he guided Gizci to a quieter corner of the set. What happened next quickly turned into whispered lore. She peeled back the layers, saw the first glint of deep cerulean, and froze. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then came an audible intake of breath from Gizci, followed by the kind of soft exclamation a person makes only when words fail. Witnesses say she lifted one hand to the canvas as though afraid the paint might still be wet. Tracing the outlines of minute symbols embedded in the background, symbols she recognized instantly. The artist is known for hiding micromotifs, a sparrow silhouette no larger than a fingernail, a half-year's date etched into negative space, a constellation rendered in dots barely visible without raking light. Each motif refers to a broader narrative: loss, rebirth, patience, courage. Özge later confided to close friends that several details seemed impossibly tailored to her own life. The outline of a tiny olive branch echoing her grandmother's grove in Bandharma, a miniature camera tucked under an arch in tribute to her first audition tape. She was stunned not just by the painting's beauty, but by Murat's resolve to retrieve something so specific, so surgically matched to her emotional geography. For social media erupts. Inevitably, a single snapshot leaked within hours. Özge standing in evening light, canvas cradled, head tipped back in joyful disbelief. By midnight, hashtags pairing their names trended across platforms, some viewers speculating romance, others saluting pure friendship. Art forums dissected the piece's brushwork, arguing over whether the palette indicated the painter's coastal or inner plateau period. Entertainment sites rushed out bilingual posts. One headline declared, "The gift that silenced the set." Another asked bluntly, did Murat just raise the bar for celebrity birthdays forever? Yet the most interesting reactions came from ordinary followers. Many latched on to the idea of non-material intimacy, the notion that someone listened closely enough to recall a passing wish and quietly transform it into reality. In a comment that quickly went viral, a fan wrote, "We're used to seeing overpriced jewelry and designer bags, but a painting chosen for your soul. That's real luxury." 5 inside the studio. Details of the artwork. The canvas measures roughly 90 by 70 centimeters, large enough to dominate a living room wall, small enough to invite close inspection. At a glance, the composition resembles a storm cloud dissolving into sea spray. Step closer, and it decomposes into micronarratives. Bird forms cut from negative space, suggesting freedom withheld or newly gained. Thread-thin gold lines radiating outward in uneven spokes, a motif the painter uses to mark paths not yet taken. A half-crescent tucked into the lower left quadrant, echoing a childhood drawing Özge did of the moon while visiting relatives near Borsan, another tiny detail Murat somehow preserved from their late-night conversations. The artist rarely titles work, leaving viewers to map their own stories. Özge reportedly wrote a short note the evening she took it home. "If art is memory, then today I remembered myself." She slipped the note behind the frame. 6 professional reverberations. While tabloids speculated about hidden romance, industry insiders noticed a subtler effect. On set the next morning, Gigi's scenes were delivered with what one director called an almost transcendent calm. Her performance, already meticulous, gained a new translucence, as though the boundary between character and actor had thinned. Murat, too, seemed lighter, occasionally humming during camera setups, something colleagues say they'd never heard before. Producers, sensing a marketing angle, debated whether to feature the painting in official promos. The artist's representatives declined. The piece would remain private. "The canvas belongs to the moment," a spokesperson said, "and to the person for whom the moment was created." 7. Why this gift resonates. Psychologists who focus on creative empathy often describe gifts like these as mirrors. They reflect back to the recipient aspects of themselves that everyday life dulls or hides. In Gigi's case, the painting reminded her of the non-performative parts of her identity: the granddaughter who wandered olive groves, the film school hopeful sketching costume ideas in cheap notebooks, the traveler who fills margins of city maps with doodles. For Murat, the gift was an exercise in attentive presence. His friends say he delights in details others overlook: the exact espresso temperature Özge orders, the page number where she folds a script mid-rehearsal. Channeling that attentiveness into a tangible artifact, something she can see, touch, ponder, allowed him to speak a language beyond conversation. 8. The public narrative versus private reality. Of course, headlines sell more papers when they hint at love. Yet, those close to the pair describe their relationship as deeply platonic, an alliance built on mutual artistic curiosity. The world at large may never fully accept this. Romantic speculation is too tempting, the cinematic symmetry too perfect. But to reduce the story to gossip misses the larger truth. This was a gesture about listening, about mapping another person's inner landscape with patience and respect. 9. Closing thoughts. In an industry often dominated by spectacle, this episode stands out for its quiet integrity. There were no paparazzi staged leaks, no diamond-encrusted logos, no viral dance challenges. Just a canvas, born of attentive memory, delivered with steady hands, and received with genuine wonder. If you take anything from today's story, perhaps let it be this. Generosity is not measured by price tag but by precision, by how accurately a gift captures the heartbeat of the person receiving it. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed exploring the art, emotion, and behind-the-scenes humanity of Turkey's brightest talents, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more. I'll be back soon with another deep dive into the stories that shape our favorite stars on screen and off. Until then, look after yourselves and remember, the smallest details often paint the biggest pictures.